There's just so much.
You're listening to a Mamma Mia podcast.
Mamma Mia acknowledges the traditional owners of land and waters that this podcast is recorded on.
Hello and welcome to Cancelled.
You sound terrible.
The podcast that looks at silly celebrity crimes and assigns charges and sentences to them so we can all move on with our lives.
I don't even think you're sick, but you just sound...
No, what I'd say is it's lingering.
Okay.
It's lingering in my sinus.
Yeah, you've got one of those colds that doesn't go away.
Yes.
Which is so boring to talk about.
Correct.
Yeah.
I'm Claire Stevens and you are?
Jessie Stevens.
And Jessie, do you have a lazy girl story for us today?
I do. I prepared.
Lovely.
I'm going to get my phone off the table, but it's got a sticky thing on the back. So I'm going to make you listen to this situation, okay? It's not ideal for the podcast environment. Lazy girl story from Kathleen with strong undertones of procrastination. I love a little tease. I made the mistake of very publicly talking about my 30 before 30 to-do list. Not very lazy girl to go making a list. And now I'm a few months out from the big birthday with a miraculous 32 tasks that need completing because too many things seemed exciting last year.
And I bet they're things like buy a house.
I reckon that they'd be like bungee jumping like that kind of thing. And then she says, all I have done is tried burrata. So there was actually 33 things.
Lazy girl.
She's a lazy girl.
I'm really glad she tried the burrata.
It's great.
That's the kind of energy we needed from all tasks. Try hazelnut gelato.
And you're like, tick,
Tick.
done.
Did that. I mean, my question is,
What could be more important?
yeah, but also like, did you just try burrata? What were you doing at 22?
I know.
At 23?
I like
We
it.
shan't be writing lists. And your error, and I really like that you acknowledge this, I made the mistake of publicly talking about it. We don't make goals and say them out loud.
No.
Not because we think that it jinxes us, but because we're held to it.
Because it's worse when we fail.
It's worse when we fail.
Inevitably.
Yes.
You are about to enter the cancelled courtroom. The defendants are celebrities. The charges are petty. The rulings are final.
Jessie, on today's episode, we are talking about the Olympics.
Absolutely no lazy girl has ever entered the Olympics.
Under the southern skies, together inside.
What would you like to say to your mum and your sister for now?
Fuck yeah. Oh, shit.
Heavy lifting, goes up to Graham, takes the lead, looks the winner.
The green and gold of Australia has struck gold here in Paris.
Importantly, we are not talking about the 2024 Paris Olympics. Will we touch on those Olympics? Briefly. But we are talking about the Olympics as in the world's foremost sports competition, with more than 200 teams representing sovereign states and territories.
Did you have to
participating.
Google what the Olympics definition?
Like define Olympics.
Yeah, it is a sporting competition, and I guess what we're doing is we're looking at the vibe. Like, there was a courtroom and you went, the Olympics as a whole, what do we think?
Yay or
Have
nay?
there been problems?
Absolutely.
Have there been lowlights? Yes, so we would like to what? Cancel the whole competition?
prosecute the Olympics?
Okay.
The first known Olympics were held in the summer of 776 BC at Olympia,
Greece.
in Greece. The Romans eventually banned the Olympics in AD 393.
Why'd they do that?
Because Rome conquered Greece. And they were like,
It feels Greek.
yes, the
Okay.
Olympics were very much about like exporting Greek culture.
Uh-huh.
So the Romans were like, nah, it's us. But then the games were revived in 1896 in Athens, Greece.
Because the Romans were very much like gladiators.
Are you not entertained?
That was kind of their Olympics.
Yeah, true.
And that never made it.
No.
It's not like skateboarding, breaking,
we'll get to. We'll
and
get
also
to.
gladiating.
They have been celebrated every 4 years since 1896, except for times when it didn't happen. In the because of wars and shit. In the 20th and 21st centuries, there have been changes to the modern Olympics. like the introduction of the Winter Olympic Games for snow
I have thoughts.
and ice sports, which I will say, stop trying to make the Winter Olympics happen.
It's just
not
never
gonna
taken
happen.
off. Is it just us who think that? Because we're in Australia, we don't really have
Yes.
any competitors. But I just feel like, oh, the Winter Olympics are happening.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, what are you going to do? You're going to ski? All I know is that someone goes down a hill, gets some air, lands or doesn't. Prove me wrong. I just don't know what the other sports are.
No. Something on ice, I imagine.
Ice skating?
Yeah, but it's like you could do that in the summer in a rink.
You don't need the snow.
There's also been the Paralympic Games for athletes with disabilities, the Youth Olympic Games for athletes aged 14 to 18, the 5 Continental Games, and the World Games for sports that aren't in the Olympics. During the ancient games, the idea was that all conflicts among the participating city-states were postponed until after the games were finished.
And
that included, so it's like, okay, Olympics happening in Olympia, and you've got to travel from, the ancient version of Turkey. And so they say, okay, if you're traveling from there, everywhere between here and there has to let you in and not kill you.
Wow.
Because you're on your way to the Olympics.
So you got your
That's a
Olympics
pass.
badge.
Yeah.
You got your uniform on. They can't touch you.
I'm not here to do a war.
But on your way home after the closing ceremony,
I'll shank ya. But in modern times, the Olympic movement claims political neutrality. And a big part of the philosophy is about, like, we're above all politics. I don't have the bandwidth to explain how that is simply not the case, but let me just say, nah. Jessie, my structure for today is as follows. The OG Games. Olympics 2.0. Guys, please, this is chaos. The weirdest sports, a debate about what's included, the Olympic village, 2024, a vibe. Okay, now, the OG Games. Obviously, there is so much we'll never know about the original Olympics because we're going off just the evidence that's available, like archaeological, things that have been written, etc.
Do you want me to enter, like, from my knowledge, from what I have read, what I see in my mind's eye when I picture the first Olympic Games?
Yes.
I'm seeing a man running a marathon with his dick out. Yes or no?
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely uncontested historically.
All right.
So, firstly, only men were allowed to compete. Secondly, they competed naked.
Yeah.
There's debate about why. One theory is that a runner started the tradition because he lost his shorts in a race.
That's bullshit. That's bullshit. That's the kind of thing you do when you get your willy out. Someone tries to shame you and then you say, well, I lost my shorts. No, you didn't.
The other story is that it was the Spartans who introduced nudity because it was Spartan tradition.
This is Sparta!
To be nude and oiled. You know that they like their bodies. All we know is that they definitely were not wearing pants. Now, the sports included were running.
No, because you've said they weren't wearing pants. And so now what I've got is a picture of someone with Asics on.
And a
Asics
singlet.
runners and a singlet and no pants, which looks more naked. It looks more predatory to only have the bottom half naked. It actually seems more Greek and more permissible to me to be totally nude.
Yeah. So there was running. So just picture men running 200 metres, 400 metres with their dicks out.
Yeah.
Long jump.
I reckon slows you down. Long jump, you've got sand in your butt crack.
Yeah, and there's a lot of blowing in the wind.
There is.
Okay?
There is. Again, I'm seeing that you've jumped long and then you land and your heel lands on your ballie, doesn't it? It does, and it pops it.
Yeah. Discus. Very similar to today's discus, and I just picture the twirling. And as you're twirling, your peenie's getting air.
You're taking off like a little helicopter, like a propeller. Do the propeller. I listen to that a lot.
Yeah, it's the Wiggles.
Yeah.
Wrestling. Now that
not
ended
a good angle.
only when one contestant admitted defeat. It went on and on and
What
on.
if you were unconscious?
I know, I'm like, I have no skills, but I'm stubborn. Where does that leave me?
Yeah.
Dead for being like,
Dead.
I don't admit defeat. Boxing. And my favourite, and I'm probably pronouncing this wrong, but pankration,
Okay.
which was a combination of boxing and wrestling and was known as the ultimate fighting sport. There were no weight classes, no time limits, and only 2 rules. No biting and no eye gouging. Apart from that, you could do
You could knee him in the
anything.
balls.
Yep. And they were naked.
And they were naked.
You
Okay.
just-
So what you'd do is you'd pull. Would you pull or would you knee?
You've got your little vulnerable bits out. There were also equestrian events like chariot racing. But the ancient Olympics were also a religious festival. So there were processions, hymn singing, incense burning, animal sacrifice. They killed so many cows and so on. And there were philosophy lectures, poetry readings, and charlatans offering to predict the future. It was a big party vibe, like people would just party, not sleep. Great. Apparently it smelt quite bad because they had these like really out in the open toilets.
Okay.
But it sounded like a lot of fun, and I personally would like more mediums/fortune tellers at the Olympics.
Yeah, I agree.
That's something we lost to history.
It is.
Olympics 2.0. Guys, please, this is chaos. A French guy called Pierre de Coubertin is known as the father of the modern Olympics because in the late 1800s, he came up with the idea of reviving it. He was very passionate about physical activity being part of education, and he looked to the ancient Greeks for ideas about the gymnasium, and the gymnasium was meant to be this place of like physical and intellectual development. So in 1889, he's like, we're going to revive the games, and he spends the next 5 years doing all this work to make it happen. He had lots of fundamental ideas about sports. So he believed that the early ancient Olympics encouraged competition among amateur rather than professional athletes and saw a lot of value in that. I'm still so confused by this. I'm confused about it with golf as well. You know how with golf you have to be an amateur to compete?
Yeah, I don't understand.
But it's like, aren't you professional, Tiger Woods?
Yeah. I thought amateur is amateur, and that's different, and it means professional. That's how I've rationalised.
Wow.
Yeah, that's how I've rationalised it.
Well, apparently you're meant to be amateur.
What?
But I don't know, I'm like, I think Ariarne Titmus is quite a professional swimmer.
Michael Phelps was definitely professional. I don't.
There's a lot I don't understand. He also liked the idea of the ancient practice of a truce when the games were on. And so he thought the Olympics could promote peace and understanding between cultures and lessen the danger of war. The 20th century isn't going to be a fun time for you. There was also a philosophical component that the competition itself and the struggle to overcome one's opponent was more important than winning. He wrote, "The important thing in life is not the triumph but the struggle. The essential thing is not to have conquered but to have fought well." I do kind of like that. Like, I do feel like athletes have that mentality a little bit.
That's why I love the Olympics.
Yes.
They make me emotional.
It's quite inspirational. The first modern Olympics was held in 1896 in Athens, and the second was in 1900 in Paris. Before the 1896 Games, Coubertin said the participation of women would be impractical, uninteresting, unaesthetic, and incorrect. So, women were included by the next Games 4 years later. But Jessie, the Olympics came back and it was pure chaos. They couldn't afford to build a pool in Athens, so instead the swimming was just in the bay.
Okay.
And for some reason it was unseasonably cold. So a lot of swimmers jumped into race and then it was so cold they just got out again.
That's so relatable.
Terrible race.
That's so relatable.
One Australian entered by accident and punched a spectator.
What?
Edwin Flack happened to be in England at the time and he went to Athens to watch the games. Once there, he decided to compete and he signed up.
I wish that was still allowed.
Yeah, it's like, I'll compete.
I watched the badminton. When you're watching the Latvian badminton, you know it's a quiet
Things
night.
are low.
Yeah. My husband said 3 months of training, hard training. I think I could be the best badminton player in Latvia.
Wow.
Like, I'd like to see it.
Yeah.
I think he should go As a spectator go, I think I could beat her.
Just give me a quick go.
give me a quick go. Does he know the rules? Mm-mm-mm.
Well, this Aussie signed up for the British team for 2 short distance races, the marathon and a tennis doubles match. I love the audacity to be like, little bit of running, little bit of tennis.
It's very the swimming carnival. When you get there and the teacher's like, you've got to go in a race. And you're like, what's the shortest?
He won the 100 metres and the 1,500 metres, but no one had trained for the marathon and he had never run long distances before. So he had a breakdown in the heat, collapsed, and had to be helped by a spectator. Okay. By this point, he was so delirious that he punched the guy who had helped him, knocking him to the ground. 4 years later, Paris happened. The water polo was in a lagoon and people got sick and died in the months afterwards.
Of what?
Something from the water.
I think maybe like E. coli, like the things that maybe they're getting from the Seine.
Yes, well, the swimming was in the Seine.
Oh, no.
And how well you did depended a lot on the current.
Okay, I heard something the other day. It was like an environmentalist talking about the cleaning up of the Seine. You know how it had been raining in Paris? He said that after it rains for 2 days, you shouldn't get in the water. And he said, yeah, that's why if it's been raining, like you wouldn't dive into the ocean the next day because you'll come out with an ear infection. And I was like, sorry. Is this callback radio? Because what? What? He was like, this is why you get sick after swimming after it's been raining. And I was like, that
has blown my mind.
I didn't know that was a thing.
That's the thing about the Olympics. You learn stuff. At the 1904 Olympics in St. Louis, a man named Frederick Laws, who was a long-distance runner, crossed the line first in the marathon. But spectators were like, why didn't we see you throughout? Okay. And that would be because he stopped running because he was exhausted after 9 miles. His manager gave him a lift in his car and drove the next 11 miles before the car broke down. And so he was like, I guess I'll just walk back. And then he broke the finishing line tape and was greeted as the winner. When he was challenged about it, he said it was a practical joke. This is what I mean by pure chaos.
Okay, lazy boy did enter the Olympics.
Yes. The weirdest sports. Jessie, tug of war, discuss.
That's not in the Olympics.
It made its debut in Paris in 1900 and was a part of the Games until 1920.
Here's a fact. No skill.
No,
Only
I
strength.
disagree.
Only
I
strength.
disagree. There is the strategy because there's like let him, tug. All of them fall over, we win.
Okay, but it's very much based on how strong you are.
Well, I guess you get your strongest people. What's weightlifting then? Honestly, I went down a lot of logical rabbit holes.
All right.
Doing this section of today's episode.
Maybe I wouldn't mind watching a bit of tug of war.
I know. In Paris, there was also a swimming obstacle race.
Oh, I like that. Like the hurdles.
Yes. So competitors had to plunge into the Seine.
No.
Climb up and down a pole, a slippery pole, before clambering over and under a fleet of boats.
Okay, so at what point is this just a show Survivor?
Yeah. It's like Ninja Warrior.
Yeah. Yeah, I reckon that we could Ninja Warrior. That could be an event.
I'd prefer
Ninja
to skateboarding.
Yeah.
Genuinely. There was also live pigeon shooting where 300 birds were killed. Jessie, solo synchronized swimming. Discuss. What do you think?
An issue with that one.
What do you think is the problem?
Synchronized with whom?
Yes. So, synchronized swimming was a thing.
Well, it's just a dance underwater.
Yes, well, it was 3 games.
Did you know that they put Jell-O in their hair? Are you on that side of TikTok? Okay, all right.
Why?
I'm on a side of TikTok that is all about synchronized swimming. And I liked a video because I went more of this algorithm. And they put unflavoured Jell-O over their hair to protect it. And then they do like ASMR and it's like this.
Wait.
Like that's what their hair sounds like because it's almost like putting
like gel?
lacquer, like hairspray, but like imagine the thickest, like like hardened jelly, but it's like rock hard.
So that their hair doesn't move while they're underwater.
Yep.
That's actually very, very
It's like a swimming cap made out of jelly.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, Solo synchronized swimming was a thing for 3 Olympics.
Then did they realise that there was an issue with the name?
Well, it was from 1984 to 1992, so like quite recently.
Too soon, yeah.
There was a duet synchronized swimming.
Yeah,
8
I get
women
that.
synchronized swimming,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
solo. And their argument was you were synchronizing with the music. But how do I know if you're doing it right? If you're not synchronized with the lovely lady next to you. Yeah, anyway, so that stopped. In 1900, they did something called plunge for distance, which I guess is a mixture.
Deepest you can go?
No.
Touch the bottom.
No, that was
Hold your breath.
fun.
Okay.
Hold your breath, yes. So it was a mixture between diving and long jump. And you dove into the pool and then like stayed under and went as far as you possibly could. I think that's
So fun.
I think that's
I call
fun.
it school holidays 03. But yeah.
Yeah. So actually, bring that one back. At the 1904 Olympics in St. Louis, they introduced roque, R-O-Q-U-E, roque. And it was a bit like croquet.
Yeah,
But
I've heard
it
of this.
had only ever been played in the US.
Mm.
And so everyone was like, it feels like a medal grab. Like you're just
A
trying
medal
to,
grab?
Yeah.
Well, funny you say that because we were having an argument recently. Someone said, I can't wait to watch the netball. And I had to say, I've got terrible news.
There's no netball.
There's no netball. It's only in the Commonwealth Games. They said, well, they have breaking. And I said, great point. I've been through this in my head.
Yeah.
Americans aren't good at netball
And
is the explanation.
therefore it's not there.
And therefore
but
it's
there
not in
are 2 different kinds of basketball.
there. Are there?
Yeah, there's 3-on-3.
Bullshit.
There's 3-on-3 basketball and then there's normal basketball. I swear on my life I looked it up.
Okay.
Which brings me to a debate about what's included. Let's just go through the sports I have a problem with in 2024.
Because people are going to get so upset.
Yeah.
Whenever people bring up skateboarding ? People are like, it's an elite sport. And I'm like, no, I don't doubt it. It just feels weird. There.
First on my list, badminton. As you mentioned before, I just think it's nerdy. That's all I'm going to say.
I don't think it's nerdy. And once you watch it, you're like, oh, I'm here.
Yeah.
I'm in.
Yeah.
And when else would I watch badminton?
Well, I guess that's the thing, isn't it?
And in fact, I accept badminton. I would draw the line at something like darts, which I don't believe is in
No,
it.
no.
Okay, good.
1 hour and 80.
So, 3x3 basketball, as I've said, breaking. Now, breaking...
I love a dance. I love a dance. I would actually like to watch breaking.
Breaking is a style of dance which began in the United States of America, seems biased,
Telling.
in the 1970s. It took form in lively block parties in the Bronx.
Okay, so it's
emerging
Jessica Alba Honey.
from hip-hop culture,
Yeah.
and is characterised by acrobatic movements, stylized footwork, and the key role played by the DJ and the master of ceremonies, the MC, during battles. They don't know what music is going to be playing, like that they're going to be performing to. It's a surprise, so they have to improvise and adapt their moves to the beat
So when
of
is
the
this
DJ's
on?
tracks.
All right, I'm going to be watching breaking.
Yeah.
Love.
Skateboarding. They are judged on speed, difficulty, and range of moves. And there's street and park competitions.
Okay, I don't know what I watched, but he just kept falling off.
Okay. Well,
And he had his hat on backwards.
Okay.
It was very Bart Simpson.
There's a trick phase.
Oh, I like a trick. I've always loved a trick.
And the 2 best tricks are counted towards the final score.
I don't have a lot of context. So when I saw him kind of kick up his board and he was going down a railing and he fell, I was like, well, I'm going to be honest, I expected you to make that. And that's why I'm here.
There's like criteria.
If I wanted to watch people fall off their skateboards,
I'd go to the park.
I'd go to the local skate park.
Table tennis.
I don't mind that.
I guess my question is, how are table tennis and athletics in the same competition?
I know. How are you winning the same gold medal? Yeah.
I just imagine them hanging out at the Olympic Village.
There's got to be a hierarchy.
Oh,
What are you here
we'll
for?
get to.
Yeah.
the Olympic Villa, Village. Jesse, this TikTok went viral recently from American rugby union player Iona Ma. Have you seen this?
No.
I cannot wait to get into the Olympic Villa. It's going to be a crazy summer. Honestly, I'll probably be the fittest bird in there.
Wait. It's called the Olympic Village. This isn't Love Island.
Yeah, I guess if we want to say that, but I still am going to try to couple up early on. It is early days, but at the end of the day, I am there to find love.
No, you're not.
And-
No, not love. You're there to play rugby.
Well,
So she posted that, and then during the games, she posted this.
A man just talked to me. He asked if I could move forward in line because I was holding everyone up.
I don't know. I think our wedding colors would be like a forest green or something.
She's also posted other videos where one of her teammates actually did get an Instagram follow from somebody
Okay.
in the village.
I'm seeing a lot of TikTok content.
Yeah.
A lot from Simone Biles, Australian team, etc.
Mm-hmm.
Lots of talk, lots of fun being had.
Mm.
Every now and then I just want to comment, focus.
Go on, Mum, off your phone. Off your phone.
Off your phone.
And in the gym. Well, Jessie, the Olympic Village is not unlike the Love Island Villa. In Sydney in 2000, American target shooter Josh Lakatos had finished his events and the US Olympic Committee were like, okay, cool, hand in your keys and come home. And he was like, there's a problem in that the party is just starting and I'm going to need to remain here.
Yeah, and that was like depending on your sport, how long you spend in your village.
Yes. So he and his teammates had a 3-story house and he asked the maid if she would look the other way if he played around with the lock so that he could get back in.
Love,
because
he's like, I've got all the time in the world.
Yeah. So she was like, I don't give a fuck what you do, which is so Australian.
Yeah.
That she's like, I don't care.
I get paid to do a quick vacuum.
Yeah.
If you need a hand with the lock, I'm your lady.
And I'm Australian, so I say, have fun, mate. And that's what she did. And so he says that the next morning after that, he said the entire women's 4x100 relay team of some Scandinavian-looking country walks out of the house, followed by boys from our side. And I'm just going, holy crap, we'd watched these girls run the night before. He said everyone just started having sex in the house. There was a huge bag of condoms. And he said, I have never witnessed so much debauchery in my entire life.
You know how after Bachelor in Paradise, there is an episode where they all come back and Osha asks them questions?
We need that.
I would love, it can be Osha.
You didn't receive a rose.
I think it should be. Sits down with everyone and he says,
Who hooked up with who?
Michael, who'd you hook up with?
Yeah.
And he just points to her, him.
Yeah. And there would be love triangles, there'd be tension. And imagine the different kind, like there'd be swimming tension, there'd be athletics tension, there'd be badminton tension.
And there would be a hierarchy not just in terms of are you here for the table tennis or are you here for the swimming, but also did you get a gold or did you not get through your heat?
Yeah.
I mean, there are so many people who get knocked out very early on. I imagine that they party very hard. They got a lot of time.
Apparently, the year that Usain Bolt won everything, apparently he was just having people in the village throw themselves at him. Apparently, the athletics boys, quite popular.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
And quite fun when they let their hair down.
I mean, a gymnast.
Oh, yeah, apparently they're fun too.
Yeah. Yeah.
There are about 10,000 athletes there for the Summer Games, and it becomes a city with accommodation and cafes and hairdressers and arcades and discos and TV lounges. And at the 2000 Sydney Olympics, 70,000 condoms wasn't enough, prompting a second order of 20,000 and a new standing order of 100,000 condoms per Olympics. One former...
That's a lot of condoms per person.
It is. Unless there's just one guy having a really nice time. One former gold medalist, Hope Solo, said there's a lot of sex going on. I'd say it's 70% to 75% of Olympians. And she said, unlike at a bar, it's not awkward to strike up a conversation because you have something in common.
Okay, is it like prison in that it's inappropriate to ask if you got a medal?
Yeah. It's like you don't ask what someone's in for. It's rude. So you don't say like, how did you go?
Yeah, because there's a lot of people where that's going to be a very sore point.
It's triggering. Apparently the swimmers are quite popular because they finish
quite early.
Yeah. So they finish early.
They're relaxed.
And then it's party. Remember for Tokyo, because of COVID, the anti-bonk beds?
I remember hearing about this. I can't remember exactly
how they were anti-bonk.
Yeah.
So they were like cardboard. And so they were designed to only hold the weight of one person and any activity.
That's not fair
for
a weightlifter.
And Kurt Fernley, the Aussie, he tweeted being like, well, lucky I've got a chair. He's a Paralympian.
Yeah, I love that.
At the time.
You could get 2 gymnasts.
Yeah. And like, people can use the floor.
Yeah.
At the time, a former long jump star said, "The ban is a big laughing stock for me. It doesn't work at all. Sex is always an issue in the village." He said the athletes are at their physical peak at the Olympics. When the competition is over, they want to release their energy. Now, Matthew Syed, a former table tennis star, so a different kind of athlete, made his debut at Barcelona in 1992, and he revealed he had had more sex during that competition than he'd ever had in his life. He said, "I'm often asked if the Olympic Village, the vast restaurant and housing conglomeration that hosts the world's top athletes for the duration of the Games, is the sex fest it is cracked up to be. My answer is always the same. Too right it is. I played my first games in Barcelona and got laid more often in those 2.5 weeks than in the rest of my life up to that point. That is to say twice."
Yeah, I was going to say he's a table tennis player.
Which may not sound a lot, but for a 21-year-old undergraduate with crooked teeth, it was a minor miracle.
With crooked teeth, who professionally plays table tennis.
He said, "Barcelona was, for many of us Olympic virgins, as much about sex as it was about sport." And then
I feel like, okay, I'm at the bar and I'm having a chat and I go, "What are you in for?" I like pole vaulting. I
Yeah.
think there's something a bit sexy about pole vaulting. I like beach volleyball. I like tennis.
I like tennis. I was going to say tennis is
I
my
like
vibe.
swimming. There's something a bit intense about a run. I think there's something a bit
You've
intense
got a lot
about
of
like 100 metres.
Power, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
A lot of power coming at me quick.
Team sports are lovely.
Team sports, yep. I agree. I can deal with that. I must say, table tennis isn't doing it for me.
An anonymous British Olympian said after the London Olympics, "Team USA was in general the flirtiest and the most up for it."
Yeah, have you ever been on a Kentucky trip?
Yeah. Then the Eastern Europeans, they're so laid back. That's the kind of gossip I wanted.
You know who else I reckon would be into it?
Who?
The Brits.
Oh, the Brits would be wild.
They would be wild. They'd be there for a good time.
As would the Aussies.
And
And then I reckon you'd have
the quieter countries.
the Scandinavians being a bit quieter.
Yeah.
"2024, a vibe." Jessie, you're weirdly into the Olympics.
Always.
Tell me about the opening ceremony.
I love the Olympics.
Yeah.
I love them
know.
so much, and
I
they don't
know.
come around soon enough. Do you want the general vibe of the Olympics thus far? Great. Great.
I want the vibe of
Yeah.
the opening ceremony.
Okay. Weird,
Mm-hmm.
bizarre, strange, brilliant.
If people have taken any offense, we are, of course, really, really sorry.
Okay, Jessie, these are some of the tweets in reaction to the current Olympics, and I think they just really sum up the vibe. Would
Okay.
you read them?
Summing up the opening ceremonies, and it is the clip from Fleabag where the sister has got the really bad haircut and the main character Fleabag is trying to reassure her by saying, "Claire, it's French," which is
That
very true.
was the opening ceremony.
Then we've got Olympic athlete makes one tiny mistake, me pathetic, which is how I felt about the skateboarding.
Yep.
Then we've got the creative director of the Paris opening ceremonies, and it is a picture of Emily from Paris. Now, not untrue, because the creative director, Thomas Joly, was like, "I want to play with French cliche." So he was taking the piss. The whole opening ceremony was him taking the piss out of us for what we think is French. Do you understand?
It's very confusing.
It's very meta.
But it's also very French.
It's very French. So at the Beijing Olympics, they were like, "Here are our exports." And they had like, it wasn't wool, but like wool. And look how great we are, world. And even like the Sydney Olympics, it was like, we are celebrating all the things that we are in our history. Like, it's very earnest.
Yeah, and very like nationalistic.
And
I went back and watched Nikki Webster's performance. Still slaps. Sorry. Brilliant.
What did she sing?
Oh, it's like Under Our Southern Skies or something, but it was stunning.
But if you would take us with you, then we have already won.
Yeah,
It was
and Vanessa
beautiful.
Amorossi, I'm pretty sure,
Oh.
was just like up there doing her thing.
Yeah. Like, has it dated? Of course it has.
Yeah.
Is it problematic? Absolutely.
Yeah.
But in the moment, Nikki Webster has the voice of an angel.
I felt something.
Yeah.
Whereas with the French, they were like, we have Notre Dame. We have our river with the poo in it.
They're like, we're better than you, and
We don't need to prove ourselves.
Yeah.
We're Paris.
Yeah.
Have you seen the Eiffel Tower?
Yeah.
Celine Dion's in the Eiffel Tower. I'm not going to prove anything. We're going to do weird shit. Here's a punk band that you've never heard of. And here's someone holding Marie Antoinette's head. She's not got a head.
And if you have a problem with that, you should
That's on
examine
you.
yourself.
Here's a bad can-can. Here's a threesome. Here's Lady Gaga. Actually, this performance was pre-recorded.
Bonsoir, bienvenue à Paris.
Why? It's raining in the Poo River. Why? All the athletes are wet. You can't see their uniforms. They're in ponchos.
And there were all these men standing there looking like they'd pissed themselves because the rain had gone to their pants.
Yeah, and also the French, with the opening ceremony, the commentary was really weird, and I think it's because the French were like, we're not giving you a briefing. Like, you should get it.
You should get it, and if you don't, be more French.
That's on you. I loved it.
Okay. Just one more thing to enter into the vibe was a tweet where somebody said things I did not expect to Google today, and it was after the opening ceremony, and they Googled, are minions French?
Okay.
Were there minions?
I was watching the opening ceremony and I thought there was an ad for the Minions film, and I thought there simply cannot be another Minions film. Then I realised it was part of the broadcast.
Okay.
My 1-year-old got very excited because there were minions on the screen, and I was like, what does this have to do with anything? Why are there minions? Apparently, one half of the people who wrote Despicable Me, which is apparently the Minions movie, was a French person.
Okay, lovely.
I have one more fact about
no.
the River Seine.
Okay.
You know how people were pooping in it?
Yeah.
So apparently if you went and pooped in it and you just pulled your pants down and you did your thing, which a scheduled poo has always confused me a little bit, but you could be done for public nudity.
Mm-hmm.
So what people were being told to do was that you had to poo in a bag at home
and then put it
and
in
then
the
deposit
river?
in there, and you were also told the exact time so that the current would hit Macron. Do you understand?
Yes.
These are the French we are dealing with. Of course that was their opening ceremony. What did you expect?
You have power? Here's my poo.
Here is my poo, and I want it to hit you while you're in the work because I want you to get E. coli.
Because you're trying to prove a point. I won't let you.
I won't let you make our river swimmable. Why? Think about it. Why?
Who are you hurting? Jessie, it's time for charges and sentences. As I said before, my thing with the Olympics is we've got a problem with scope.
Okay.
We're not clear about what is and isn't part of the Olympics.
Yeah.
And that's why we have a competition where we have breaking and the marathon.
There's also that sport, and look, I love watching it because you get red carded. The one where you're walking but you're running. You know the one.
Yeah. Angus walking.
Okay. But one foot must be on the ground at all times, which it is harder than it looks.
Yeah.
When else are we doing that? Is there a World Championships? I don't know. It only comes up during the Olympics.
I do think it's got an issue with scope.
Yeah.
And so what I would say is that they've got an identity crisis.
Yeah.
So my sentence is this. In 4 years' time, I forget where the Olympics is meant to be. It might be Brisbane. I wasn't paying attention.
No, that's 8 years.
Okay. Well.
Because I'm planning a holiday around it.
Oh,
I would
really?
like to be in Brisbane.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, I'd really like to be there
stop
for the
it.
Olympics.
I'm excited.
Yeah, me too.
All right. Because a big problem with the Olympics is it ruins places. So huge issues with like building the infrastructure and then like homelessness and displacing people and all of that. So I reckon 4 years from now, go back to Olympia. Not Athens. Olympia.
Where's that? Like it's in Greece somewhere, but
yes, there's nothing there.
All right, nothing.
Ruins.
Okay.
And that is where you do the original games.
Where will Australians
And
win all their gold in the pool?
everyone's naked.
Oh,
Everyone's naked.
everyone.
Go back. You only
Claire
do
breaking
sports.
naked. I don't know about breaking naked.
No, but you'll only do sports that were in the original games.
Oh,
We're doing a whole recreation of
the original
the ancient
games.
games. So you're doing that fighting where you're not allowed to eye gouge, but you're allowed to do anything else, and you're naked. And
you-
this time, women are welcome.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
I like that.
There's actually no swimming.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, I quite
Yeah.
like that.
'Cause the
There's
Olympics-
definitely no lone synchronized swimming.
And because the Olympics are having an identity crisis, so let's start from scratch and go from there. Because
Okay.
otherwise we end up at breaking.
Okay, good point.
Jessie, what's your charge and sentence?
Okay, my charge is the gap in between. So what I struggle with is the weight.
And don't try and tell me, but the Winter Olympics are in 2 years. Well,
we
no.
don't give a
I'm not
fuck about the
watching
Winter
it.
Olympics. And I've said that. And I think the reason I'm excited this time is because I only had to wait 3 years because we had a late Tokyo because of COVID.
Yeah.
4 years is too long. And what happens is I study and I go really deep during the Olympics. And then by the time the Olympics comes around again, I've forgotten what a wolf turn on a beam is.
Yeah.
And I've got to learn it all over again.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I would like the Olympics to be always on because I struggle with the pressure that they're under, right?
Mm-hmm.
You get one moment, one opportunity,
One opportunity.
as Eminem says.
Yeah. Every 4 years. And you don't have that many 4-year cycles in you.
No.
You've only got a handful.
Especially you're retiring at, 26, 27? Well, you've only got a few. So my sentence is no more opening and closing. We don't
Always
open and we
on.
don't close.
Yeah, and people have been complaining about the opening ceremony. So in that case,
it
you
went
say,
for 4 hours.
well, you know what? We won't close it. Yeah. We built the infrastructure. Always
They go to
on.
close it and we're all sitting there waiting for the broadcast. You got the commentators, no notes, situation normal for France. And they're just like, come on, where are the minions on a float? Guess what? There's no float. What do you mean there's no float?
It's always on.
It's like when you're at school and you would pray and you do your opening of the prayer and you do your sign of the cross and then you go and pray and you're like, I better do the end because otherwise I'm always praying.
in prayer.
Yeah.
And
It's
when
like,
I'm fighting with my sister.
yeah, I've got to
that's gonna-
close off the prayer.
Yeah.
Where in prayer is constantly going. If there's no closing ceremony, the athletes never have to go home. And you know what would happen? They'd run out of condoms. We'd get a baby boom.
Mm-hmm.
And we would get a super race of babies.
Oh my God, stop it.
Yeah.
Athletic little babies.
A weightlifter
Yeah.
meets a gymnast.
Yes.
What
love.
happens?
Love.
And then in 20 years, you watch the world records broken by the super sperm egg.
Okay. Okay. Jessie, that is all we have time for on today's episode of Cancelled.
Is it?
Yes.
Okay. For all the receipts, I would like some kind of small snippets of breaking, maybe. Go to the twins_thoughts on Instagram. The executive producer of Cancelled is Kimberley Braddish, with audio editing by Tom Lyon, and we will be back next week.
Bye.
Bye. Lazy girls, we have some enormous news. You know how sometimes things get completely out of hand?
Yes.
That's what has happened here, because as you know, we've been doing Lazy Girl giveaways for a while to give back to our fellow Lazy Girls, and people who are not us have been following through on the giveaways.
And we've been wanting to organise a travel giveaway as the ultimate way to give back to our lazy girls.
Because they love travel, but they hate organising a trip.
It's a lot of admin. So we are so excited to announce our biggest Lazy Girl giveaway yet, valued at over $9,000, because our friends at Explore have hooked us up with an 8-day trip for 2 to Turkey.
I actually can't. I'm so jealous. It means you get to bring one very lucky person along with you, like your Lazy Girl best friend, for example, to experience the best of Turkey on a fast-paced holiday along the west coast. And the best part about the whole thing is it's planned for you. You don't need to do any of the organising. You don't need to research and go, where should I go? What are the good parts?
How do I get from that place to that other place?
Exactly. No. No. All you need, and this is actually important, you do need to have your passport on you.
Yeah.
So maybe write that on your hand. As always, all you have to do to go in the running,
subscribe to Mamma Mia.
That's it.
One step. That's it. If you're already a subscriber, you've already entered, you may already win. And if you use code LAZYHOLIDAY, you can get 20% off a yearly Mamma Mia subscription to enter into all current and future Lazy Girl giveaways.
This is absurd. Head to the link in show notes to enter now. The prize draw is on the 20th of August. T's and C's apply.